My name is Nimonte. I'm representing Team 36 for University of Southern California, CSCI 572 class, also known as Information Retrieval. So throughout this semester, we've been developing a search engine to visualize weapons data from around the world. So we accomplished this by taking 3 steps. The first step was politely crawling weapon sites using Apache Nutch. Second step was indexing our data with Solr. And the third step was actually visualizing this weapons data using the current web app that you're looking at. So our website is composed of 3 different visualization methods. D3, Banana, and facetview are those methods, those visualization methods that we're talking about. So we've separated these tools into 3 tabs. So first we're going to talk about D3. And right now we're looking at a few tabs that you might see. Temporal trend is the first trend that we're looking at. And we were interested in solving a few challenges and looking at data in certain ways. So the first challenge was a time-based trend. We wanted to see, were there any time-based trends that exist within our gun ads. So as you can see here, as we're scrolling throughout this calendar view from D3, there are these white boxes, green boxes that you see, and some of the boxes are darker colored than others. So these changes in colors indicate how many weapons ads happen within a box, and each box is a day. So the darker the box is, the more weapons ads were posted in that day. And as we hover over these ads, you can actually see what date is there, so what date the weapons ads were posted, and actually the percentage of weapons ads that were posted over the entire series. So one thing that's interesting from this is, once we have these dates that have these spike in ad sales, we're interested not only in the time, but also the location. So from here, we can actually look at a date, and then we can scroll up and actually go and look at the location-based trend in our Geo Trend tab. So the Geo Trend tab is actually really interesting. It shows a map view, and this map view actually has ads posting from all over the world. And we can actually configure this query. We can say give the top 1,000 results if we're interested. So by typing in this query box, we can dynamically change the results. So say we wanted to change this to maybe like 1,000. As we type dynamically, we can see that the results change and the map view updates in real time. Another thing that's very interesting too is we can also vary the date range. So if we're interested in looking at from 2005 or 2003, whatever, we can change that dynamically, and the map view will update accordingly. So this is great because we can see spatial and time-based trends in real time. So the reason why this is also interesting is because in addition to looking at these spatial and time-based trends, one thing we were interested in looking at was, are there any unauthorized buyers or unauthorized selling of weapons that's happening? So one way we went about that was actually first studying up on gun laws. We wanted to see which regions weapon sales might be illegal in. So upon studying gun laws, we found that Illinois was one place that it was illegal to sell weapons up until 2012. So one query we can do is look at weapons data within this time range in Chicago. So as we can see here, when we look at our range within 2005 to 2012, so during a time when it was illegal to sell in Chicago, we can actually see that there are ad postings here, and the results are actually posted on both the map and in our kind of faceted results. And this shows that there were possibly some illegal weapon sales going on. So in addition to looking at that kind of data, another visualization that we were interested in was sort of a similar, looking at there were an influx of stolen weapons. So one thing you can do in regards to that is you can cluster weapons together based on weapons type. And if you can see this bubble chart here, we can vary the query dynamically. We can look in regions like Chicago again, and we can see what kind of weapons types were most likely sold. So this shows us there's clusters, there's weapons being sold in this time period, and that there's definitely some illegal weapons sales going on. So another query that's very interesting to us is a rate of ads. So it's possible to sort of infer whether or not there's a stolen shipment of firearms based on how the rate of ads changes over time. So this is a great visualization to show that. What's actually happening here is we're keeping track of the weapons ads that are posted from a certain time point, and that time point we can vary. It's right now we're just starting from like June 2014, but we can vary it as need be with a date picker, and we can actually even facet based on the weapon types. So right now we're looking at a few weapons, which are C9, a bunch of those. C9, the AUG type, the bore. So we have a lot of weapons that we can vary based on. And we can see that there's massive spikes in the October region, which clearly indicates that there's some sort of illegal buying or selling going on. So now another query that we were interested, or visualization that we were interested in looking at, was underage or unauthorized buyers of weapons. So one way, the simplest way we went about that was, first we were interested is looking at the ads that were posted by minors. So how do we actually figure that out? So one thing we did was we actually changed our queries dynamically based on a few form fields. So the first field was underage. So what we're doing with that is, if we were to click that underage field, then we can see that the query changes, and we're sending a few specific slang words that teenagers may use. So based on that, we can return queries, and these queries actually show us the URLs, and the URLs are, for example, here's one that's a good URL that maybe there's some sort of information there. If we click that, then we actually are dynamically pulling up an iframe, which shows some of the content that this user posted. So the way we went about thinking maybe this is an underage user is by sort of just analyzing the content within the page. So we can look at the user's username or the user's profile picture, and this can give us some sort of indication that this might be a minor. So this is kind of the methodology that we went about, and to find out if there were any unauthorized buyers. So things like the title, for example, there's slang words used like killing as opposed to the actual word killing. So little things like that can kind of indicate maybe this is an unauthorized person. And then another thing, if we were to look at this underage tab again, we can click around, play around with it. So these are all things that are very interesting. So now let's look at the last thing that we're interested in. And we were interested in finding out, are there any illegal sale or transfer of illegal weapons? So what kind of weapons are we talking about? We're talking about bombs or explosives or even weapons of mass destruction. So to accomplish this, we created a word cloud visualization. And we can change this word cloud based on weapon types or even weapon names. So in the interest of looking for sale of illegal weapons, we can look at the weapons cloud for weapon types. So if we were to see weapon types, there's weapons like ballistic, which are related to missiles. There's weapons like grenade. There's weapons like biological. There's tanks. So there's a lot of illegal sounding terms in here that are not standard firearms. So this gives us even more indication to show that within our posts there were some illegal weapons posted. Another visualization are dendrogram. So the dendrogram is really interesting because it allows you to categorically look at weapon types, and within those weapon types it allows you to even go down further, another level, and look at the actual weapon names within those categories. So if we were to see, we can see here's the root, the top level. And we can actually even go down and look at things like rifle or pistol or shotgun or even revolver. And within these classes, we can see that there's actual weapon names. So for example, within pistol here, we can see there's Beretta, there's Colt, there's all sorts of different pistols that that have been classified by our dendrogram D3 visualization. So it was really interesting to look at the data in this way, and this is something that Dendrogram and D3 offer. Okay, so having said that, now we're going to look onto another type of visualization, Banana, and we're going to move. It's really great. It's another amazing bit of software for visualizing data. It leverages D3 as well. It leverages AngularJS, and it also leverages Require.js to create this sort of modular front-end app for visualizing data. So we've implemented this as a tab within our app, and we simply included it as an iframe and configured default panels by editing the default JSON file. So Banana is really interesting because it gives you complete power over editing all of your panels. It's very simple to remove or configure or even inspect your tabs. All of these tabs have configurable data, and you can actually add panels on the fly if you're even interested. So the panels that we've included here are a word cloud of the weapon names, a message terms pie chart, a histogram showing the ad postings within this sort of time period over a couple of months, and even a heat map, which actually shows time versus weapon type. So there's a lot of great stuff going on here. It's even possible to add rows. We won't add it now, but it's possible to add rows dynamically, and we can even change our query search based on any sort of free text we want. So if we were to say maybe search for rifles, then it should change these values dynamically. So as you can see here, the values are all changing dynamically. It's amazing. And we can even change the date range if we're interested. So say I wanted to look for 2013 or something as opposed to 2015. So I could just go in right here, and I could change the time really easily. So now, say I wanted to change it to the year 2015 or 2013 right here. It's really easy to do so. And then I can just press this little checkbox, and it's all going to change dynamically. So it's really, really great stuff, and it's really fun to use, to be honest. I had a good time using it. So that kind of concludes what we did with Banana. We liked it a lot. Now we're going to hop over to facetview. So facetview is another front-end visualization package. It leverages jQuery, leverages Bootstrap, so you can dynamically add guided navigation to your website. So we can provide search terms to Solr, and when we provide these search terms, it gives us stuff back dynamically. We can even drill down via our faceted fields. So if I'm interested in looking at a facet in certain date ranges, then my data will update automatically. And I can even remove this if I'm interested again. And then it brings me back dynamically. So if I'm interested in weapon types, weapon names, these are all fields, by the way, within our Solr index. So it's really easy to add your own fields and dynamically change facetview to your needs. So doing all this, it gave us great results, and we're really happy with how facetview worked for us. And to be honest, that concludes our presentation. It was great speaking to you guys. I hope you had a good time listening to us. So to conclude, this was Team 36 for CSCI 572, and thank you for listening in.